You ever have that moment when the air shifts, not with a shout, not with a crash, but with a whisper, and you just know everything's about to change? That was me. Tuesday morning, office coffee, still warm, inbox full, the usual chaos humming in the background. Then Tyler, our new VP, leaned across the glass table, gave me that smug half smile and said, "We're going in a different direction." And just like that, 7 years of my life gone in a sentence. My name's Logan Barrett. I was 38. Then senior account executive at Veltri Dynamics, I say, was because 47 seconds after Tyler opened his mouth, I wasn't anymore. But here's the thing. I didn't flinch, didn't beg, didn't pull out a spreadsheet to justify my existence. I just nodded. Got it. Best of luck. I said like we were strangers passing on a subway platform, and that's the moment I knew something had shifted. Not in them in me, I didn't even take my awards. You know those cheesy top performer plaques everyone pretends not to care about, but secretly checks each quarter. Mine were gathering dust in a glass cabinet. I left them all behind. What I did take: a photo of me and my son from his Little League finals, a coffee mug my team gave me after we hit record numbers in Q2, and a signed baseball from Jason, one of my earliest clients, now a partner and friend. That and a quiet storm building inside me. I wasn't angry, not in the way you'd expect I felt. Still, like the ocean before a hurricane. Let me rewind a bit. Veltri. Dynamics wasn't always this glossy startup darling with buzzwords and beanbags. When I joined, we were 15 scrappy dreamers in a refurbished warehouse outside Cincinnati. My badge number was 008. I wasn't flashy. Didn't pitch with PowerPoints or charm with steak dinners. I built relationships the old-fashioned way with trust, follow-through, and remembering your kid's name. I knew the birthdays of my clients' dogs, let alone their kids. I called to check in, not to upsell. It wasn't sales. It was partnership. 3 months before Tyler fired me, I noticed the tremors. It started with a quarterly meeting. Our CEO, Jennifer, introduced him as the new blood from Silicon Valley, MBA from Stanford, teeth too. White handshake too soft. He was here to modernize our sales culture. Spoiler alert, that never means anything good. He wanted cold outreach, script-based calls, conversion funnels. I wanted to look people in the eye. He was spreadsheets, I was handshakes. I should have seen it coming. 2 weeks in, he hijacked one of my client dinners. Brian, one of my biggest accounts, had flown in for the steak and strategy. Tyler came too uninvited and spent the whole evening talking over Brian, pitching buzzwords like he was auditioning for a TED Talk. After dinner, Brian pulled me aside and said, "Logan, that guy's a problem. He wasn't wrong." Fast forward to my exit. No outburst, no last speech. Just quiet exits and downcast eyes from coworkers who couldn't even look at me. HR did their robotic checklist, badge, laptop, non-compete reminders. One woman whispered, "I'm sorry. I know how much you meant to this place. It hit harder than anything Tyler said." By 7 p.m., my phone wouldn't stop buzzing Brian, Jason, Dave. 18 of my top clients reaching out before Veltri even had a chance to assign them someone new. One message read, "Logan, what the hell happened? This new kid just called me, said he's replacing you. You okay?" That's when I realized Tyler hadn't just fired a guy. He'd ruptured a network he didn't even know existed. That night, I sat on my back porch, sipping bourbon, watching the sun disappear behind the skyline. Cincinnati looked the same, but I felt different. Lighter, sharper. Tyler had made a mistake, not by firing me, but by underestimating why I mattered. He thought I was a sales guy. I wasn't. I was trust incarnate. Next morning, Jessica Lewis from Hail Torm Brewing, our competitor, emailed me. "Heard what happened. Let's grab coffee." We'd crossed paths at trade shows, always cordial, never more than industry small talk. But now I was free. Her coffee shop choice was far from Veltri, HQ smart, discreet. "You built half of Veltri," she said. "We'd be stupid not to bring you in." She slid a folder across the table. 30% salary bump, full autonomy, Build your own team. Title Director of Enterprise Relationships. I stared at it not with excitement, but with clarity. I wasn't joining Hailtorm out of revenge. I was returning to who I really was. A builder. A protector. A damn good leader. Jessica was sharp, the kind of executive who didn't waste time flattering resumes or padding meetings with fluff. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "Logan, your reputation is golden in this town. The people you worked with, they don't call you a sales guy. They call you the guy who makes things happen." I didn't need the flattery, but hearing it from a competitor that hit different full autonomy. She said, sliding the paperwork forward. "Build the department. How you see fit. Team of 6 reports directly to you. Salary, 30% above Veltry's last offer. And an aggressive commission structure." I skimmed through it, half listening as she added, "Also, we've cleared the non-compete with legal. You were terminated without cause. That clause isn't enforceable in Ohio." I nodded. Processing. Still, I said, "I don't want to ignite a war," which is why she grinned. "We're suggesting a 60-day consulting contract. After that full-time, no fireworks, no headlines, just smart moves." It was bulletproof. And frankly, it was the kind of chess I admired. By the time I signed the agreement, the real fallout had already begun. Brian hit pause on all active Veltry projects. Jason's team started requesting full documentation, clearly prepping to jump ship. 3 more clients outright refused to speak to their new account managers, and I didn't call a single one of them. That's the part people never believe I didn't recruit. Didn't pitch, didn't even hint. They came to me because I'd earned their trust long before Veltry ever sent them a login. That afternoon, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Logan Barrett, I answered already. Knowing Logan, it's Jennifer Murray, Veltry's CEO. My stomach didn't drop. Not this time. I was past that. I'm calling. She said to understand what's happening with our client base. I leaned back in my chair. "I'm not sure what you mean. I've been gone." "What? 4 days?" She didn't laugh. "Several of your former accounts are threatening to leave. Brian says he'll only deal with you." I said nothing. "We'd like your help transitioning these relationships. Smooth things over, translation, clean up Tyler's mess." And she added, "We're willing to bring you back. Same position, 10% raise." I almost laughed. Too little, too late. "I've already accepted another position," I said quietly. A pause, I see. "Then I hope you'll at least consider not actively interfering with our clients." I smiled to myself. "I'm not interfering. Jennifer, I'm just answering my phone. I won't lie. Part of me wanted to let it all go, turn the page, start fresh. But what they were doing to my clients, that couldn't stand." Jason called me later that night. "They're stonewalling us," he said. "We requested a data export. They said it wasn't included in our plan. But I've got the contract right here. Section 12B guarantees full portability." He was furious, and worse, he felt betrayed. Then came Dave Allison and 3 more, all reporting suspicious delays, sudden maintenance, vague legal threats about data ownership. Veltry wasn't just losing clients. They were building walls to keep them locked in. That wasn't business. That was war. Then, like a gift from the universe, Dave forwarded me an email. It had been sent to him by accident, meant for Tyler. Subject line: Client Retention Strategy. Barrett Accounts. Inside a spreadsheet of every client I'd ever handled, with notes on how Veltry planned to delay or obstruct transitions. One line read, "Leverage technical dependencies, aim for 3 to 4 months of delay. Legal risk low." I sent it directly to Hailtorm's legal team. Their response: "Logan, this is gold. It's not just sabotage, it's grounds for legal action." Jessica wanted to send cease and desist letters right away. I said no. If we go nuclear, they'll dig in. We don't need to burn them, we just need to outclass them. Instead, I wrote a document, a neutral educational guide for clients explaining their contract rights, no logos, no branding, no foul play. Then I invited a dozen of my former clients to lunch. No agenda. Just old colleagues sharing frustrations over steak and fries. By the third lunch, they'd formed an unofficial alliance. They started comparing notes, discovering patterns, supporting each other. I didn't need to coordinate a strike. I just lit the match and left the room. At Hailtorm, I was building something new, something that couldn't be dismantled by a spreadsheet warrior like Tyler. We didn't call it a sales department, we called it strategic partnerships. Our motto, invest in people, not just deals. Jessica gave me full freedom to hire, train, and lead my way, and within 60 days, we weren't just gaining ground, we were making waves. You ever watch a house fall apart? Not from a wrecking ball, but slowly, a crack in the wall, a leak in the roof, creaking floors. That was Veltri. From the outside, they still looked polished internally. They were hemorrhaging. 8 clients gone in 2 weeks, 4 more in legal dispute. But it wasn't just the losses. It was the silence after. The awkward pauses, the unanswered emails, the referrals drying up. Veltri was rotting from within. And the irony, I didn't even touch them. Meanwhile, at Hailtorm, I was thriving. 3 former teammates from Veltri had joined my division. They didn't come for money, they came for the mission. We were building something cleaner, stronger, rooted in trust. One of them, Lily, said it best during our team lunch. At Veltri, we sold to keep our jobs. Here we build to make an impact. That stuck with me. Clients kept messaging me. Brian told me Tyler had called him, offered a discount, free upgrades, even a personal touch point. Then when Brian still didn't budge, Tyler did something petty. He said you were on your way out anyway, that you had performance issues. Classic, I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Brian laughed. I told him I trusted the guy who helped me scale through a global supply crisis, not the guy who quotes Forbes articles like scripture, but Veltri wasn't done. More clients reported data export issues. Clauses were being reinterpreted. Technical documentation couldn't be located. In some cases, login credentials were reset without notice. It was no longer just a bad breakup. It was hostage negotiation. I looped in Jessica. Her eyes narrowed. They're playing dirty. Time to hit back. We gathered everything, screenshots, emails, voicemails, even a recorded call where a Veltri rep threatened to lock down systems if contracts were breached. Our legal team prepared a full offensive. It was airtight. But I still waited. Why, Jessica asked. Because I believe in giving people a chance to do the right thing until they prove they won't. Then the call came. It was Jennifer again. Logan, she said softly. We've let Tyler go. I said nothing. We're prepared to make amends. I stayed quiet. Full data portability. No early termination penalties. Clean handoffs. We'll stop the obstruction. She was offering peace, but not because they'd changed, because they'd lost. We also want to discuss bringing you back EVP. Direct access to the board? I blinked. The title, the corner office, the apology, everything they thought I wanted. But I didn't pause this time. I appreciate it, I said, but I found where I belong. After we hung up, I texted my core clients. You may find Veltri more cooperative going forward. No bragging, no gloating, just a heads up. 2 days later, Veltri announced an enhanced transition program. They framed it as client-focused innovation. We all knew better, but I didn't care about credit. I cared about people getting what they deserved. At Hailtorm, the momentum was undeniable. We weren't just onboarding new clients, we were building a culture. Trust was a metric. Retention wasn't measured in quarterly churn. It was measured in respect. Jessica stopped by one evening. Veltri just lost Northridge, she said. That's 15 of their top 18 clients. I kept typing, market's changing. She smiled. We're considering a board seat for you. Thought you should know. I nodded, then looked around the office. Same skyline. Different view. 6 months after I joined Hailtorm, I stepped into the quarterly board meeting suit jacket draped over one arm, a black folder in the other. It wasn't just another review. It was a milestone. The presentation was simple. No theatrics, just clean metrics. 12 new enterprise clients in 2 quarters. Retention near perfect, revenue projections up 47%. I ended with one line. We don't just close deals, we build loyalty. The board chair leaned forward, expression unreadable. What's your secret? No secret, I said. We invest in relationships, not just transactions. The CFO chimed in next. Veltry's client list. We're holding 14 of their top 18. Jessica, seated beside me, corrected him. 15 Northridge signed this morning. A soft murmur rolled around the table. Just to clarify, I added, we never solicited those clients. They came to us most after reporting transition issues. Jessica pulled out another folder. Our legal team has documented every instance. It was all above board, transparent, unassailable. Veltry didn't stand a chance in court, and they knew it. The board chair cleared his throat. We'd like to make it official. Logan, the board, unanimously offers you the position of Executive Vice President of Strategic Relationships. There was a time when I would have chased that title. Now I just smiled and extended a hand. Thank you. Let's keep building. No gloating, no ego. Just purpose. That afternoon, my assistant knocked lightly on the office door. You have a visitor. No appointment. Jennifer Murray, Veltry's CEO. I hesitated, then nodded. Send her in. She looked worn down. The edge was gone. The fire, too. Congratulations, she said, setting a folder on my desk. Thank you, I replied. We're exploring acquisition options, she said. We'd like Hailtorm to consider an offer. I raised an eyebrow. Not in judgment, just surprise. It's not personal, she added. It's survival. I nodded slowly. Understood. She looked at me, not like an adversary, but like someone who knew she'd made the wrong call. Too late. The deal went through 3 months later, not because I wanted to own them, but because it made sense. Veltry still had value, just not in the way they thought. Their tech stack was good. Their people were better. I made one condition non-negotiable. Every Veltry employee gets a fair shot, no blindsiding, no bloodbath. We do this the right way. The board agreed. It wasn't about revenge, it was about redemption. Not for me, but for the people who never got to speak up before the storm hit. On the day the deal closed, I drove to Veltry's original office, the old warehouse where I'd spent 7 years of my life. It looked smaller than I remembered. Inside, the remaining staff sat nervously in the conference room. I stepped up to the front, cleared my throat. I'm not here to clean house, I began. I'm here to offer something better. Their eyes widened. You could feel the room breathe again. At Hailtorm, we operate on one principle. Relationships matter. Clients, co-workers, vendors. That's what kept me going when things fell apart, and that's what will guide us forward. I meant every word. After the meeting, I wandered through the empty sales floor. My old desk was still there, cleared out, polished, impersonal. I paused at the window. Cincinnati's skyline was the same, but I wasn't. My phone buzzed. A text from Dave. Heard the news. Poetic justice, my friend. I smiled, then typed back, not justice, just building something better. I didn't even glance at the wall where my old awards had once hung. They didn't matter anymore. The real legacy was already moving in every handshake, every loyal client, every person who believed in doing business differently. 6 months had passed since the acquisition. The headlines had faded. The dust had settled. Hailtorm was thriving, and Veltry, or what was left of it, had become a quiet part of something better. One afternoon, I found myself back on that same back porch. The Cincinnati skyline shimmered under a soft orange dusk. Same bourbon glass in hand. Same wood grain beneath my elbow. But I wasn't the same man. Success used to mean numbers. How many accounts closed? How much revenue generated? What title sat under your name on the company website? Now it meant something else. It meant Dave texting me after his daughter's piano recital. It meant Brian inviting me to his company's 10th anniversary party, not as a vendor, but as a friend. It meant Allison calling to say her father's logistics company had weathered the recession because of the system we helped her build. You can't measure that with a dashboard. You can only feel it. I don't know where Tyler is now. Somewhere updating his LinkedIn, probably rebranding his failure as culture pivoting or strategic realignment. But the truth, he wasn't the villain. He was a symptom of a system that values short-term results over long-term trust, of leadership styles that see people as assets instead of allies. What happened wasn't personal, it was structural, and I had the chance finally to build something different. If you've made it this far, you might expect a revenge arc, a dramatic finale, the triumphant return of the wronged underdog who crushes his enemies. But this story isn't about revenge, it's about respect, about knowing your worth even when others don't, about walking away without burning the house down, but then quietly building a mansion next door brick by brick until everyone notices. It's about staying calm in the storm, not because you're weak, but because you know the wind always dies down. Relationships, trust, quiet leadership. Those are the things they can't take from you, not with a layoff, not with a cold email, not with a spreadsheet. If you're watching this and you've ever been blindsided, pushed out, overlooked, undervalued, remember this. You are not the title on your desk. You are not your quarterly report. You are the effort, the kindness, the strength you bring to the people around you. And sometimes, that's exactly what changes everything. My name is Logan Barrett. They let me go, but what they didn't know was that I'd just been set free.